Hey everybody, anyone who's here, and today we are in my test world, and I wanted to show you guys something. This is something I built in my LP world, but I don't think I gave it enough attention, and I think it's actually pretty cool. So what we're going to make today is a wither skeleton farm that just gives you a ridiculous amount of wither skeleton heads, and it's based really around two mods specifically. You're going to need an autonomous activator from thermal expansion and a cleaver from Ticker's construct. So the first thing let's do is actually make the cleaver over here. And for our purposes, we are going to use let's just select the cleaver. We're going to use one paper rod to give us an extra modifier, and then the rest is going to be that manilian, whatever that stuff's called. Okay, so let's make that. And what did I do right? Oh, this needs to be a tough rod, doesn't it? Pretty sure it needs to be a tough rod. That should be pretty easy to get. Let's see. That's not a tough rod. Those aren't tough rods. Here are tough rods. So we need a paper tough rod, and we need a manilium? I don't know. Tough rod. So let's get back to cleaver. The reason we're using a cleaver is a cleaver by default is going to have a beheading 2 already built into it. Next thing we are going to do, not throw our cleaver away, is we are going to add an extra modifier on this baby. Great. So now we have 5 modifiers. Now, like I said, by default, it already comes with beheading 2, but we want to add to that. So what we're going to do is throw in a bunch of obsidian and a bunch of ender pearls, and it's going to allow us to start adding levels of beheading. Very cool. So now we have a beheading 5 sword. And why is this important? Because this is beheading 5 on a cleaver, you're almost guaranteed a mob head every time you kill a mob with it. And now you can see where I'm going with this. So we're going to put our autonomous activator. And again, this is just a standard dark room. Obviously, it's open up here for now, but I did that just so I can show you the inside. We'll close that up. I'm also using Mine Factory Reloaded conveyor belts. You can use whatever you want to try to get them into that hole. Water streams, fans, whatever you want. I just find Mine Factory Reloaded conveyor belts pretty simple to use. And also, you want to set it up in a design like this because you want to make sure no matter where they fall, they always go into that head. Cool. So next thing we need to do is actually start spawning the withers. In this example, I am going to use a soul shard with a wither skeleton in it. Realistically, you can use whatever you want. You could set this up in the nether with a skeleton spawner. You can use Mine Factory Reloaded, safari nets, whatever you want. We're just going to use that right there. Cool. So now we have a soul shard inside of there, and we're going to start spawning withers as soon as we get it dark in there. So next thing we need to do is set up just the autonomous activator. Let's turn this baby around because we want it actually facing this way. Oh. Messed that up. And this is actually one of the second most important point because you're going to have to put this in here, set this to only use the first slot, and to left click. And basically what that's going to do is left click anything in front of it. You know what? We'll even point it up just to make it a little better. It's going to left click anything in front of it with this cleaver. Now, it is worth noting that this cleaver will need to be repaired. So this won't go on forever, but when you see the amount of wither skeletons head we get, I mean, you could idle in front of it for about 5 minutes and probably have all the wither skeleton heads you'll ever need, and this cleaver will still be around. Very cool. So the next thing we need to do is actually pick up the items that get dropped. So what I'm going to use here is a vacuum hopper. And the reason I'm going to use that is because besides the items that we need to pick up, we need to do something with the XP. For some reason, it seems like if XP gets between the autonomous activator and the mob, it does not actually attack the mob, it attacks the XP. So we're going to just connect a vacuum hopper. For our purposes, we're going to connect it to a creative portable tank, but this could be, you know, railcraft tank, open blocks tank, whatever you want. So we will do that, and now we're going to set this XP up. Let's just move that out of our way to output over there. Very cool. And then next we need to actually pull the items out of there. So we are going to connect it to this chest right here, throw in a pneumatic servo, and set this to always be on. Obviously, you didn't have to actually do that. You could have just put a switch on it, a lever, but I'm not a big fan of levers. So now this hopper should be sucking up all XP and items that drop. We should be able to just close this off here. Close it up here, and once it gets dark in there, it should start spawning withers, and you should get a ridiculous amount of wither skeleton heads. So let's just give it a second. You already hear them starting to drop. And look at that. We're killing them. We did not connect it down here. Not about that. And now let's just give it a minute and let it start killing things. And we are going to get so many wither skeleton heads that you're not going to know what to do with it. So you already got one. You get them. It seems to be like every 1 or 2 skeletons that you get a wither skeleton head for. It might even be a little bit more often than that. I'm not 100% sure, but you will wind up with just a ton of wither skeleton heads. Yeah, see, we got another one. We're already at 2. So if you idle here for about 5 minutes, I mean, you'll wind up with 50 or so, maybe even more wither skeleton heads. And then on top of that, you get some weird things like recovery hearts. You get some magic jars if you're using Darkcraft, as well as the necrotic bones from Ticker's Construct. So this is a really, really simple and easy to build wither skeleton farm. And you will wind up with all the wither skeleton heads. We'll just do that. All the wither skeleton heads you'll ever want. And that's pretty much it. I really wanted to highlight this because I haven't really seen this done too often. And I think it works really, really great. This is how I have so many wither skeleton heads in my LP world. It's a little cheaty, I guess. But what's the fun of mods if you can't do stuff like this? So that is it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.